Oh, hello. What is going on, people? And if you couldn't tell, I tried something new, a nice little retro throwback. That's what I'm going to call this series. I have my horror movie reviews, I got top 10s or whatever. Well, you might ask yourself where I've been the past couple weeks. Well, I've been working, and also I've been working on something new. I thought I'd try to spice up this channel and throw some new things at you. And this is what I came up with. The nice little retro themed thing, I guess you want to call it. This is where I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at old school movies from my childhood, start from the 80s. Maybe I'll throw it back even farther, but for right now, the movies that I grew up with, the late 80s, early 90s stuff, where, the time of yesteryear, I guess you want to call it. The movies that I enjoyed and still could watch to this day. I'll do reviews of those movies that, if you want a certain movie review, let me know. And if you couldn't tell by the nice little intro, I'm going to be doing top 10s, which today I don't have a top 10, I'll have a top 5 for you, which if you couldn't tell the title, I'll get into. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do originals versus remakes. I'm going to find movies that, they made a remake of, and I'll tell you whether it held up in my eyes or they didn't, if they fell short of their goal. And I'll also do the kind of maybe not remakes, but retellings or type of movies, kind of throwing it back, kind of giving homage to certain movies. I'll throw a whole bunch of stuff, but pretty much this series is going to be my childhood brought back to life. And maybe if you haven't seen a movie, or you have and you forgot about it, maybe this series will kind of re-spark your interest. So, the first one I decided to go with is, I went out and I went to Monster Mania a few weeks ago, and I ended up buying a childhood cartoon that I used to watch all the time that I definitely loved, and this is where this idea came from. What I'm going to do is right now, if you couldn't tell by the title, I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite Nickelodeon cartoon shows. And this is my top 5. This isn't saying this is the best ever. This is just what I thought, or my favorite cartoons growing up. And if you couldn't tell by the t-shirt, I am definitely a Nick fan. I like Disney cartoons a little bit more. Don't hate me for it. I was, the Rescue Rangers, and I was Darkwing Duck and Gummy Bears, but that will be for another episode. This one I went through, and like I said, I got my top 5 Nickelodeon cartoons, and let's just say, a couple of them just missed a cut. Like, I do like Rocko's Modern Life, but that wasn't my top 5. Angry Beavers was pretty good. SpongeBob is pretty much like the last of that kind of cartoons, I guess you want to call it. That didn't make the list. Ren and Stimpy's another good one, but it didn't make the list. So all those were kind of, what do you want to call it? Nominees. I can't even think of the word now. They are, you know what I'm trying to get at. And I'll come up with the name and then runner-ups. That's what I'm looking for. So anyway, before I stumble over my own words for even longer, let me get into my top 5, and I'll kind of just go from there. The first one that I'm going to mention, I don't own. I'm going to eventually get it, but not that I saw on Amazon or anything, but this did not have a complete series. Like a lot of these I bought the complete series, and now they are in my collection. This one, I can't find just a complete series, and if I did find it, it's not cheap. So anyway, what I'm going to try to do with this new whole editing, as you can tell, I don't edit much of my videos, but I will kind of try to throw certain things in there. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to, right in my hand here, put this cartoon that I'm talking about, and if I can find a picture and kind of edit it together, you might see Rugrats right here. And that is my, these aren't going to be in any particular order, but making my top 5 is Rugrats. If you haven't seen that show with Tommy Pickles and Chucky Finster and Phil and Lil, do they even have a last name? I don't remember if they do. And, then Dill came in the picture, and Angelica Pickles, and Susie Carmichael, and just the adventures that these young little babies get themselves into are, just fun. Fun and entertaining. It came out while, I think I was like 11 or 12 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I knew I was in middle school, and this was like the show that a lot of people, I'm sure, did watch and enjoyed. And it was one of those things where it kind of blurred the line with kids and teenagers. A lot of these, I think, did at the same time. But Rugrats definitely made my top 5. And if you haven't seen it, try to find it, because it is a fun show. Sticking with the baby themes, this is the thing that kind of sparked my whole interest. I remember seeing this. Right now, I don't think any of it is on DVD, so this is pretty much, I guess, burned on demand kind of deal. I found it at a convention. I skipped on it the one time, and 3 years later, I finally found it again, and I decided to go with this. This is one of my favorite cartoons, so if I did number it, it would be top 1 or 2. But this show, I remember watching it all the time when I was a kid, and it just piqued my interest. This was more towards the late 80s, and this is Muppet Babies. And this is where my love of Gonzo kind of came to a head, I guess you want to call it. In this show, he's pretty much fiending for Miss Piggy, or I'm guessing it's just Piggy in this, and she loves Kermit. So I guess I kind of felt with Gonzo when I was younger and trying to find a girl that liked you and they liked someone else and whatever. So I kind of, when I was younger, kind of gravitated towards Gonzo. But overall, this was another one where the babies got themselves into trouble. Even though they never left the nursery, they had all these ideas and they just imagined themselves in all these different predicaments and stuff like that. And as I was growing up, this was definitely one of my favorite cartoons, and it has one of my favorite theme songs ever. I did not like the Muppets that much, but when Muppet Babies came out, definitely was one of my favorite cartoons. And I must say that happens with a lot of these shows, which I actually do want to get, like Hanna-Barbera stuff. I never really liked the originals. I did like, What's New? Now, what is it? A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. That's another one. I did like Scooby-Doo, but I liked the Pup Named Scooby-Doo and the Tom and Jerry kids and stuff like that, Flintstones kids and all that. I happen to like those cartoons a little bit more than the originals. Well, the originals came out in the 70s and these came out in like the mid-90s, but I definitely like them a little bit more. So I'm going to try to get them as well. But Muppet Babies, Rugrats, the two ones where the kids, the babies find themselves in all these made-up predicaments and stuff. Actually, Rugrats, sometimes it wasn't made up. They kind of just got themselves into stuff and then got themselves out. The next one that I picked was Doug. This was one of my... If it went 1 and 2, it would probably be Muppet Babies and then Doug. Doug Funny moves into a new town, and Bluffington, and pretty much it's a new kid in a new town going through middle school and then into high school, which I don't even want to get into that because the second version of this that's why I don't have it, because I really didn't like it as much when Disney took it over. But this was definitely one, just the characters in it. You had Chalky, who was like the all-star athlete. You had Roger Klutz, who was the bully. Patty Mayonnaise, who was his love interest. Skeeter, which was the best friend. And then little different characters thrown in there. Mr. Dink, who was a crazy neighbor. It's just another one where, sometimes in some of these you kind of learned. It was another, sitcom, I guess you want to call it, cartoon style. You learned stuff and you kind of... you grew with the cartoon, I guess you want to call it. So Doug is definitely up there for, like I said, if I had to put a number on it, this probably be number 2. Muppet Babies would probably be number 1. This one was like a horror version of a cartoon. It deals with monsters and what they do, and this is real monsters. Again, this, I don't know if it's come out on DVD or anything, but I found this at a convention and I bought it. It's the entire series. I didn't realize that it actually ran this long. It has 52 episodes. I thought it was one of those like rerun kind of deals where there was like 20 episodes and they just played them over. Well, this one has 52. It involves Ickis, Oblina, and Crumb, which are these three little monsters right there. And pretty much, it's almost like a school. Pretty much what they have to do is they have to go out and scare people. And they get graded on it and stuff like that. They actually have this machine where it sticks to their head and shows what's in their mind and what scares they did. So pretty much it's school for these young monsters. I don't even know how old they are. I don't think they mention it. But this is another one that just goes through all these different adventures, and they have to do different things, and it deals with, I don't want to say real life situations, but I guess somewhat here and there. But this is another fun one. Real Monsters. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And this one is old school. This is, once I saw this on DVD, I definitely had to pick it up. This is another one with one of my favorite theme songs. I might have to do a theme song thing myself. But this is a, I don't want to say, like, learning cartoon, but you kind of learn through it. And that's David the Gnome. David the Gnome is pretty much a doctor who goes through life and stuff trying to help animals and other gnomes and fairies and all this stuff. And he's the doctor that saves everything and makes everything all better. And throughout this cartoon, you get different animals and you learn different things about those animals and you learn how to fix them. And if anything goes wrong, David the Gnome will be the guy to come and save you. From what I remember, it's been a while since I revisited this. I think in the last episode something happens to him, and I think that kind of put a damper on a lot of people's kind of threw life at you a lot, or, you know, more than the cartoon should. I don't want to say anything, but David the Gnome is another one up there for, you know, my top 5 cartoons. Like I said, there's a lot of other stuff that definitely would have made the list if I had a top 10, but I didn't want to make it too long because I did want to talk about them a lot more. But these are my top 5. Again, you know, Ren and Stimpy would have made it. Angry Beavers, Rocko's Modern Life, which is having one. I thought it was going to be a season, but I guess it's one episode, and a one episode throwback to Rocko's Modern Life with a new age spin on it. So I'm looking forward to that. But those are my top 5. If you watch this all the way through, let me know in the comments which are your top 5, or doesn't have to be top 5. Just throw some names out there that Nickelodeon cartoons that you watched as a kid, that you watched religiously, that you enjoyed, that might have sculpted your entire being. Okay, maybe not that far, but let me know what your top 5 is, or again, just throw some names at me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for new stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a trial, not a trial run. I want to do this more often. And again, this is the throwback, the retro version, the first episode of my retro review series. So let me know what you thought in the comments. Definitely, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more stuff like this. I also do horror movie reviews. If you want to know when I do upload my stuff, there is a little bell button, so hit that bell button so you know when I do put new stuff up there. And, yeah, I guess check out the show notes. I'll leave all the links to all my other social media. I got an Instagram where I show off the movies and stuff behind me. I got a Twitter. I got a Facebook fan page. I got a Horror Amino. I'm part of the Dorkening, which tomorrow we're interviewing Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma. So check us out on that. And, yeah, I guess that's about it. So until next time, I'll see you guys.